Good morning, doctor. Welcome back.
Morning, Venkatesh. Nice to be here again.
Great, great. So our topic for today is laugh it off. As part of our series on wellness, one of the reasons that most of our wellness is compromised today is stress. And one of the best ways to actually tackle stress is to take things less seriously and laugh it off. That sounds a little easier than it is, but it's not as difficult as it might sound as well. So we're going to laugh it off, and that's the topic for today. Yes, yes, doctor. Over to you.
Right on. Thank you. Well, as Venkatesh rightly said, laughing or creating laughing or induce laughing is the toughest thing to do.
Right.
You ask a comedian. Recently, a couple of comedians from the tabletop domain, they tried to create laughter and had the egg on their face, and they had to be arrested and taken to court and so forth. So induced laughter is difficult,
Right.
but spontaneous laughter is the best remedy for everything. So
Right.
induced laughter is mostly professional, and we need not worry too much about that.
Got it.
But we will look at spontaneous kind of laughter with its added on attributes, which we will see. We will
Yes.
also try to understand the biochemical mechanism of laughter and so forth. So
Yes.
laugh it off is a valid dictum, and it will remain so for millennia,
Right.
for eternity. If you find something very difficult to manage, somebody will say, "Oh, forget it, man. Laugh it off, man." That
Right.
try to trivialize things so that your seriousness is not bugging you. So
Right.
laugh it off is still a valid proposition, and we should take it seriously, but without making it like the artists of the small screen.
Right.
So laugh it off is something which we are going to take a closer look.
Yeah.
Next, any comment, Venkatesh?
No, absolutely. Yes. I think all the points thus far are very important ones. We are talking about spontaneous laughter, and we are talking about how to take it seriously enough that we can do something useful with it and make use of it for ourselves. Absolutely.
Right, right, right. So here you see a laughter meter. It may sound odd, but it's a laughter meter which tells you, you know, uh, how far you are dealing with laughter or humor is holding on,
Yeah.
and how far it is not holding on. For that, some scientists, some social scientists, not all
Right.
of them though, created this so-called humor quotient.
Correct.
Now, we saw earlier in one of the other topics, anything that has to be understood should also be able to be quantified.
Right.
Legitimately so, but it's not always the case.
Correct.
For laughter, there is something called humor quotient,
Correct.
and not too many articles and not too many publications are there. But humor quotient is something that one can look at seriously, if not for commercial purposes, also for personal development and personal management. So
Right.
there's something called humor quotient, which you will see shortly. Before
Correct.
that, any comment on this, Venkatesh?
No, I think it's again a recurring theme we have talked about, that it's useful to try to have something that gives us a measure of a quality. And sometimes getting obsessed with that measure is not a good idea. But nonetheless, I can see, we say people have no sense of humor, or people have a great sense of humor, and there are obviously dimensions to it. You may see the humor in other people's situations, but not have enough of a sense of humor about yourself, right? And
Right.
so it is a useful thing to understand, is definitely the case, right? Before one starts to work on oneself, one needs to understand oneself, self awareness. We have talked about that. I guess understanding one's humor quotient is like that.
Yeah. To understand it a little better, humor quotient is there, and there are genetic makeups, genetic circuits or DNA circuits which make your humor more sort of quantifiable and therefore more handleable, if you like.
Correct.
We'll see more of it shortly, but 90% of our laughter is spontaneous and genuine.
Right.
The only laughter that is genuine is spontaneous.
Correct.
Although there are other people who specialize in creating laughter, we will see.
Right.
But for ordinary mortals like you and me, you have to have a spontaneity, for which they say have a spontaneous genetic kind of a thing. And we'll come to that shortly.
Yeah. Yes,
What is
doctor?
so great? Yeah. Any comment, Venkatesh?
No. Please go ahead. You're
Yeah,
talking, I guess, about happy cells and endorphins. You're about to start.
yeah. You see, there is this term endorphin. Now, it is a derivative of morphine. Morphine is an opium.
Right,
And we all carry morphine in our body and in our cells. Every cell
right,
of our body has an opium.
correct,
That may sound, that may sound unbelievable, but it is. It has
right,
been quantified. Endorphins are morphine-like substances inside our brain, inside our body, inside our every little system, and
right,
endorphins are there.
correct,
And they control a hell of a lot of things. And the term endorphin held because it is structurally the chemical structure of these molecules is
right,
very close to morphine, and
right,
morphine is an addicting element, mind you. Morphine
right,
is not a very pleasurable element. It is an addicting thing, but it is there.
correct,
God has created endorphin and put it in each and every cell. Mind you, repeat each and every cell of your body,
right,
and God keeps you ticking,
correct,
and not just laughter, for so many other things.
correct.
And wherever you put your finger on, you see an endorphin sitting there, like that. Any
Right.
comment?
No, this is very interesting because I think the purpose of this chemical in our body clearly is
Yeah,
to mute, excessive response to pain or to other stressful stimuli. And one of the problems with something like substances like morphine is that they have negative effects. But we have this
right.
very good natural chemical inside of ourselves that helps us deal with pain and stress. And we have to find out how to unlock it. And that's what we are talking about. Fantastic.
Quite right, quite right. Yeah. So you can say laugh it off, laugh about it, depending on the context, depending on the situation.
Right.
And there is a decoding of the science behind medicine uh, and mirth. Mirth is that laughter kind of, happy
Correct.
kind of a situation.
Correct.
And if you have it with you, you are good. You can
Correct.
manage better. If you have
Correct.
much of it or too little of it, too much of it is not good. Too little of it is not going to work.
Correct.
So you keep it at that. We'll
Correct.
see more details shortly.
Yeah.
Now, there is something called belly aching laughter.
Right.
They roll over the floor laughing and all that. So, you laugh
Correct.
so much, which of course basically is more with youngsters. You don't see an 80-year-old man rolling on the ground with laughter. But we say belly aching laughter, and
Right.
that expression holds in
Right.
almost all of life.
Correct.
You laugh, yeah, and you laugh louder, and you laugh, keep louding louder and louder, and so much that your belly starts aching,
Correct.
and it is still there. You know,
Correct.
you said not too many elderly people will do that, but 90% of people have that belly laugh, or at
Correct.
least once or twice in their lifetime. So,
Yes. Correct.
so the belly aching laughter we'll see shortly. Next slide, please. So all these put together, people coined the word laughter therapy.
Correct.
You wonder, laughter therapy are there everywhere. So it's no longer news. When the term laughter therapy came about,
Right.
people were a little cynical or skeptical about this laughter therapy.
Right.
They'll say, I got high blood pressure, should I laugh? And
Correct.
somebody will say, I got constipation, should I laugh?
Correct.
And so forth.
Correct.
And the answer to many of these is yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because indirectly, if not directly, laughter has a healing effect on itself, by itself, for itself.
Correct.
And that it can be considered as laughter therapy.
Correct.
And if laughter is a therapy for you, it can work somewhere, basically not in very serious conditions. If you have cancer, you can't say, I'll wait at home,
Correct.
waiting for laughter to occur. In the meantime, the cancer will kill you. No,
Correct.
it doesn't happen that way. It's a milder form of malady.
Correct.
Stress relieving benefits. Now, stress relieving means you cannot put your finger on any one particular system, yeah,
Right.
but it is there all over the body. Stress is there all over the body.
Correct.
Like we saw, endorphins are there all over the body.
Correct.
If you leverage them, you are utilizing the capacity to have a laughter therapy.
Yeah.
And that therapy, we'll see soon. There are clubs, laughter clubs, and there are joggers park groups which just go and laugh,
Correct.
you know, and so forth.
Correct.
Any comment,
Yeah.
Venkatesh?
No, I think some very interesting points between these two slides. I think as you discussed, right, I know you're not going to go into too much depth on that, but the endorphins and those biochemicals have a mitigating effect on stress hormones like cortisol, right?
Right.
And actually now you are right, absolutely. You cannot wait, with things like if you have a knee replacement or if you have cancer, it's not going to solve itself by laughter. But a very large range of lifestyle illnesses have a lot to do with stress, right? Whether it is diabetes or blood pressure, a lot of them are affected by it. And if you can laugh to the point where you can release those endorphins, and that's the belly aching laughter, you can actually
Right.
begin to see the benefits of it. It's There is a science to it, there is a biochemistry to it. Uh, the second point I thought was very useful is that both these photographs show people laughing in the context of other people, and as social
Right.
beings, clearly we there is a sympathetic reaction when somebody is laughing next to you. You laugh with them, and that's the benefit of being in a group, right? It's difficult to laugh
Right.
alone sometimes, but when people are laughing, that mirth is infectious. Is one of the ways that you can get yourself to laugh, and I guess the point behind the laughter clubs. Very interesting.
Right. Right. True. 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 So, extending the same logic, somebody said, why not have a laughter yoga?
Right.
And, uh, and they are having it now.
Correct.
Laughter yoga is a reality.
Correct.
And laughter therapy and laughter yoga are very close to each other.
Correct.
And if you keep laughing properly, you become a yogi.
Correct. Correct.
that that we'll see in greater details when we come to just yoga as an entity.
Correct.
Yoga entity has many dimensions.
Correct.
Laughter yoga will help you to take laughter therapy to a different level. And at that time, maybe you can do better off even without anybody hanging around you.
Yeah.
So you became a laughter yogi by yourself.
Correct.
You know,
You
now
can trigger that yourself within yourself.
yeah,
Absolutely.
the
No, I
Venkatesh
think.
showed.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, this really merits some discussion in another session as well. But we should touch on it here. We've been talking across so many of our talks about uh, yogic principles being basically understand not taking yourself too seriously. You are doing your karma without being too focused on either the outcome or on control, which is not there. And one way of looking at that is basically don't take yourself too seriously, and that's
Right,
actually the beginning of humor, right? The beginning of humor is don't take yourself too seriously, or don't take anything too seriously. Everything is you're just an instrument. You're just around for a short while. So it that's how I can sort of see a connection between mirth and yoga. So very interesting. We'll do one session on that, doctor.
right. And extending that is the awareness of specialists. There are specialists in that group. And Dr. Kataria, who you
Correct.
saw in the earlier slide,
Correct.
initiated this, and then he took it to different levels,
Correct. Correct.
medical level and behavioral level and so forth.
Correct.
I would say laughter therapy or laughter, uh, whatever, therapy, let's call it that.
Yeah.
There's a behavioral entity.
Correct.
If you have stress, you resort to behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy is there, like cognitive
Correct.
therapy.
CBT. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And laughter yoga is a cognitive therapy. And
Absolutely.
that cognitive therapy can be applied almost in all situations.
Uh,
And here, laughter yoga is the one that we are looking at,
correct.
but it overlaps with so many others. There is a considerable overlap of the various situations. You can't even call it treatment or medicine. It's not a true so-called medicine, but it is a behavioral aspect, behavioral dimension,
Correct.
which leads you to better management of yourself. And Dr. Kataria things have not been accepted by everybody, but most people acknowledge that Kataria's way of looking at yoga and laughter
Right.
is useful for
Correct.
many people. It is not there is no harm in that.
No,
You're not going
absolutely.
to be laughing, although
Correct.
some people
Correct.
you
No,
get a
and
heart.
you make a very important point, doctor, because actually CBT, I mean cognitive behavioral therapy, and again, I think we are getting ideas for future sessions. Uh,
Right,
it basically is saying that without external medication, you do a bunch of things which can help you manage yourself better. Many of them behind the scenes involve unlocking your own biochemicals to
right,
manage various things. And so it's not like there is not a pharmaceutical basis for it, in the sense that you are unlocking your own biochemicals to manage yourself better, is,
Right,
I guess, the missing link, right? And why I guess modern science is more accepting of CBT or
right,
cognitive behavior. Yes, yes,
right,
doctor.
right, right. So here you see a way of putting it. Laughter
Is an
is
instant vacation.
instant. Wait a
Is an
minute.
instant vacation.
Okay, okay. I couldn't see that properly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I realized that's why it's. I think you've chosen this because it is laughter is an
Yeah,
instant vacation.
yeah. True. So it is instant. It is a vacation for which you don't have to pay anything. Yeah.
Yes,
A
yes,
vacation, you take a vacation to Agra or Niagara Falls, you pay
correct,
through your. Whereas
correct,
here with laughter, you don't even have to go to a park. You can practice laughter in the backyard of your own society or whatever. So
correct,
it is instant vacation, free vacation,
correct.
and no side effects. Of course, once upon a time I was doing a session with some other group
Right,
near Otters Club,
right.
and the lady complained to the police. These are all high flying executives and business people, and she phoned the police and saying that there are some mad people cracking away jokes. Go and stop them. The police people actually landed there. But that's a bit of an exception. You
Correct,
know, you don't find people complaining about other people laughing,
correct,
but it can happen.
correct,
But
correct,
provided within reasonable limits,
correct,
which is what we're talking about.
correct.
We are not talking about people going and knocking on the doors of every member of your society.
And trying to
And
make
then,
them laugh against their will.
no, as it happened with the two gentlemen in OTT, no,
Correct,
uh,
correct.
they
No, I
literally,
guess those outliers, they are effectively, like you said, that's not our topic for today because that is professionally induced laughter for commercial reasons. We are not
yeah,
covering that. We are covering laughter in
yeah,
our own, for ourselves and for our health, without that
right,
commercial angle, as it were. Absolutely.
right, very true, very true. Yeah. Next slide,
Yes.
please. Now, coming back to the so-called humor quotient, hmm, humor quotient can be quantifiable, and some people have done, as I said, but
Correct.
most people could not quantify quotient,
Correct.
and most people are left to suspect or doubt whether there is any such entity at all or not.
Correct.
Perhaps there is, and perhaps there is no element.
Correct.
So this is one of the behavioral elements for which devising a questionnaire or devising whatever, a series of tests and so forth is not easy,
Correct.
because it's a highly social phenomenon. Yeah?
Correct. Correct.
What is good for you may not be good for the next guy. Good for the
Exactly. Correct.
good for the goose, good for the gander doesn't hold.
Correct.
Yeah, or holds, whichever way you look at it.
Correct. Correct.
And so here, if there is a quotient, if it is in the brain,
Right.
then there should be anatomy and physiology of the brain. So
Correct.
they say you
Yeah.
cannot
As
have. Yeah, go ahead.
Now,
Yeah,
as we've been discussing, there is a definite anatomical, physiological, and sort of biochemical component to why all of this is happening. Right? The science is that. I guess the art, like you said, is the fact that it's not easy to measure. You
right,
can break it down into a few things. Can you, do you find the humor in a situation overall? Can you find humor in yourself? You may be humorous about other people, but refuse to be humorous about yourself. You can study that, but it's a complex one, like you said, because it's very subjective.
right. So here is the very thing that Venkatesh mentioned just now.
Right.
Hmm? The part of the brain
Correct.
and the anatomy and physiology of the brain, which again has to do with biochemistry. You
Correct.
know, if there is biochemistry behind heart attack, if there is biochemistry behind sadness, if there is biochemistry behind romance, there is a
Correct.
biochemistry behind laughter. There
Correct.
is logic. But if
Correct.
you cannot make a quotient, you cannot measure it through something, you can
Correct.
create a measure. And
Correct.
this is, for example, pain. Pain is so subjective, hmm, that you will not be able to measure it like you are measuring it with the blood pressure apparatus. You
Exactly. Correct.
hand cuff, and then do inflate the cuff, and then you got a value, and that
Correct.
value tells you this is your pain, your
Blood
whatever.
pressure. Correct.
Yeah. Now, if this is situation is possible, probably it should be possible to extend this logic if and only if there are more subscribers to this logic. We require subscribers, but many of the subscribers are happy with their behavioral aspect. They are quite happy going to Joggers Park and laughing away,
Correct.
and not in the biochemical arena where people are demanding of quotients and equations and so forth.
Correct.
So, but that it can happen. It will happen probably. Behavioral things are also coming under quantifiable entities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Pain did. Pain is
Correct.
measurable today, which
Correct.
it was not some years ago. Behavior,
Correct.
anxiety, neurosis, whatever.
Correct.
So we can see, I don't know when it's going to happen in my lifetime, but some kind of a quotient will already come, has already come and will come again,
Correct.
one form.
Yeah.
And
Now, in
there you see,
some of these, I guess there is a physical equivalent, like blood pressure. You're obviously measuring the physical component, but
right,
now with, I guess, neurobiology having advanced to a point where a lot of things are quantified in electrical impulses in different parts of the brain, and
right,
that coupled with biochemistry can give you those measures. But I guess, like you said, that's an academic. That's for those who are trying to quantify it beyond the level. But I think for
right,
much of us, for us, doctor, the lay people who are listening to you, it's enough to know that there is a very well established science behind the biochemical role of endorphins, that endorphins are released in something like laughter, that it has a cycle to it, and that it can feed on itself. Even if we know that and we don't know how to measure it, it's good enough for us.
right. As Venkatesh has just listed out, within that anatomy and physiology of the brain, there
Right.
are clearly identified and defined pathways.
Correct.
The path of nerves going from one place to another, or cables, nervous cables,
Correct.
and they are connecting cerebrum with cingulate gyrus. People in our anatomy days, cingulate
Correct.
gyrus poo-pooed. There is no such thing as cingulate gyrus and emotion and personality. But
Correct.
today we know that
Correct.
your personality, your behavioral entity as you are, which can be again transcended into something else like yoga and so forth.
Correct.
We won't get into that directly. But when you are laughing and you are merely, spontaneously laughing,
Correct.
these parts of the brain are drawn to operation.
And are
You know,
stimulated. Correct. Yeah. And you can literally
uh,
see that, I guess, in the fMRIs and so on that they do nowadays. Correct.
quite right, quite right. And the brain is a big thing. It is not so tiny that you cannot measure it. It can.
Correct.
And some technology will evolve. So you've got cingulate gyrus, you've got thalamus, which is an important relay center. You've got hypothalamus, which is a biochemical center. You've got amygdala, which excites you to doing things stupid
Correct.
and so forth.
Yeah.
Cerebellum keeps your balance intact. No, these are all realities. These are not theory. These are not hypotheses.
Correct.
These are there. And if you
Correct.
put in a suitable electrode, you can measure that.
Correct.
You can measure who cracked what joke, from
And
the cerebrum.
where did you get, yeah, where did, and in fact, that's exactly what fMRI is doing today, that without even an
Yeah,
inserted probe, you are in a
right,
position to measure where electrical impulses are higher when a certain activity is happening, right? And you can
right.
correlate that to levels of biochemistry as well. Doctor,
Yeah,
just a time check. I think we have a
yeah.
5 or 6
Almost,
slides more.
but
So,
we'll finish it out.
yeah, no, no,
Now,
no, no worries. We have time. I just said we have about 5 slides.
okay.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
laughter can be also a sarcastic, derisive entity, which
Right.
this lady, for example, is commenting something on somebody's behavior. She says, nice job.
Correct.
But in reality, she means exactly the opposite. She
Right.
sarcastic. Laughter, it can be so dry and divisive that it is, I mean, doing exactly the opposite job of what you would have otherwise done.
Correct,
So
correct.
nice
Very
job.
good point, doctor. Very good point. That
Yeah,
as powerful a weapon, as powerful an instrument as it can be a very powerful weapon, because
right.
negative laughter is a form of social rejection, which
Yeah,
triggers some of our, most primordial reactions. If we feel
right,
someone is laughing at us, we see that as a sign at us as opposed to with us. Uh,
right,
that is something that immediately causes stress rather than happiness, right?
right, right. Next slide, please. There are some types and types of laughter. Extending whatever Venku said just now, there are types and types of laughter.
Correct.
You know, what situation creates what laughter and so forth. They can be quantified, mind you.
Correct.
So just like we saw cerebrum and cerebellum, whatever, there are laughters associated with various behaviors and therefore various aspects of your personality and various measurable dimensions. So, in the types of laughter, for example, there are, the next slide, please. The father of laughter, Laurel and Hardy,
Or
and
Charlie
Hardy,
Chaplin. Yeah,
yeah, and they resort to very effective means of creating laughter,
right,
and it goes by various terms like slapstick comedy and you know standalone comedy and so forth.
right,
Standalone comedy was the one that created trouble for the gentleman on OTT. You
right,
know, there are so many other types. Like
correct,
playing with words,
correct.
playing with others' emotions,
Physical
which is very
actions, correct.
negative, which is bad actually. Uh, but people
No, it's
do that.
very interesting you say that, doctor. And now I sort of I can see why you're emphasizing that point. Some of the oldest or sort of most reliable forms of humor is slapstick. And
Yeah,
slapstick, which is physical humor, quite often has something to do with some or the other physical discomfiture of someone. Somebody has fallen
correct.
flat on his face, somebody is looking like a fool, and so on. So, somewhere as
Right,
human beings, that seems to very easily resonate with us. We all sort of, irrespective of our cultures, laugh at it. And
right,
done within limits, it's clearly, it's one of the most reliable ways of getting humor going, right? But
right.
clearly, when it is pointed or directed at an individual or at a group, it very quickly goes from being something happy to being very
Yeah,
stressful. Is why those types of laughter are very interesting, right? I think literally we would
yeah,
be able to discuss this even more some other time. But
right,
sometimes you laugh, you laugh because you can't do anything else about it. That's not necessarily a very happy laughter. That is
right,
sort of a laughter of giving up, or you
yeah,
laugh sarcastically, or you laugh angrily. All of those are, not positive necessarily. Whereas
right,
spontaneous, happy laughter is what we are talking about. So
right.
very good doctor for to understand these different dimensions to laughter. Absolutely.
Yeah, like a South Indian laughter is different from a North Indian laughter.
Yes, then there's
Uh,
the culture, right? Yeah. I mean, how does a laugh sound, and what
yeah,
is culturally,
yeah,
appropriate in one situation is not in another. Yes,
right.
absolutely. Yeah.
So belly laugh we saw earlier, so there's no
Yeah.
need to repeat. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I think one good thing you have said here, or why you have chosen the slide is, I think the smile element, the smile and laugh are different, but the laughter with a smile, which is
Yeah,
that positiveness, is the
right,
one we are talking about, and it's a good indicator, right? Does it bring also a smile to your face? Otherwise,
right,
you laugh, but everyone is stewing or fuming. That is not the laughter we are talking about.
right. Now, funny jokes are commonplace. You walk into any bookstall and then you'll see books on books and books or whatever of
Jokes. Correct.
joke, funny jokes.
Yeah.
And again, it touches upon what we saw just now. Funny jokes relating to Punjab or Maharashtra or whatever. Those funny jokes are there, dime a dozen, and most of them are accepted, but not less and less with the advent of internet and so forth. So
Correct.
funny jokes are there, but preferably funny jokes should be avoided. You know, jokes should be more of a wit, an intelligent way of conveying something in a humorous way, and
Right.
not just being funny about somebody. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I think the what you're touching on, doctor, is very interesting, and it's very, very nuanced, right? So
yeah.
funny is making fun of somebody is different from it's being generally funny, right? So
Ah,
when, for
exactly.
example, you're making fun of somebody or of a culture or people, and to the clearly top of mind OTT fiasco, what is humorous but hurtful to somebody else, being
Right,
sensitive about it is what draws the boundaries, right?
right,
And it's not just about the politics of it, it's about just day-to-day interaction.
right,
We are talking about laughter that is not stressful, but the moment you are doing something which can impinge on someone else's comfort, at some level there is stress that is being brought back into the situation, which
right.
is, I guess, this point which you're making here.
One man's meat is another man's poison. Yeah.
And to the point, doctor, that somebody will say even the use of the word meat is a dangerous one. So
Yeah,
I guess there are
meat.
all these cultural
Again,
sense.
Yeah, meat is a political word.
Yeah, yeah. No, so everything is suffused with sensitivity, but
Right,
neither can one, forgetting the health benefits of it, which is what we are focused on in this talk. Uh,
right.
one has enough space without getting into these territories to get the
Yeah,
benefit for oneself and one's group, is the point we are making.
right, right.
Which brings us to the
So,
last slide.
yeah, last one. No? So, in other words, for every laughter, you attach a disclaimer. Somebody laughs, and then you wonder which part of India he's from. It's a disclaimer.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say it in Bengal the way you would say it in Karnataka or something. So disclaimer is an important element in creative laughter, if you like, and you have to be careful, as these two gentlemen learned it the hard way. So disclaimer is preferably attached to every laughter situation or a joke,
Correct.
quote unquote joke.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
So we are on the last slide.
Okay.
So your last thoughts, and then I'll summarize, and then
Yeah. You're already on. Go ahead.
yes. No, so I think thank you so much for this topic, Doctor. Very, very interesting. I think laughter, we spent a good amount of time analyzing why laughter is a very real physical phenomenon. It recruits these biochemicals called endorphins, which play a very legitimate and good role of damping down stress responses, have huge health benefits to us, for a whole range of things. Spontaneous laughter, which is filled with happiness, is the laughter we are talking about. And it is something which, nobody has been able to exactly come up with the right metrics for it. But I guess we can all understand, how we can work on our own humor quotient, as it were, being able to see the mirth in situations. We talked about laughter yoga. And, I guess in another topic or session, we'll connect it to the fact that all of this comes down to don't take the situation or ourselves too seriously. It has actually a direct linkage to spirituality and to, a yogic thought process where we don't give ourselves or anything too much importance. Finally, in the last part, and why we are ending on a disclaimer slide, even something so positive as laughter can be double edged, right? And if
Right.
we are not sensitive to the people around us, and if we don't understand that there are different types of laughter, uh, as uh, as primordial a benefit as laughter is, it can also be a threat to other people or trigger stress responses in them, and that's not good for anyone. So we need
Right.
to be mindful of all of that, and but there is enough space for us as individuals to laugh and enjoy ourselves. Yes, doctor. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Absolutely. And a good one to conclude with
Yes.
till we come the next time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, doctor. Look forward to the next one. See you.
Thank you. Thank you.